What's up, sports fans? How you doing? You know what time it is? It is Sunday, and it is time to talk about some sports. I am Kendrick, the sports guy with TFG Sports Media, and it is Sunday Sports Chat, Sports Rap with Kendrick, the sports guy. I hope everybody is having a good weekend. I know this is the Sunday before that big thing we got happening in the news, this big solar eclipse everybody is hyped up about. It depends on where you're at. Some people going to have get the full effect of it, and some people the weather's going to be a little tricky, so you may not be able to see it. But we ain't gonna talk about that, but we may at the end of the show. But make sure you come in, like the show, like the segment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Make sure you comment. Let us know you here. Let us know where you're watching from. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about women's NCAA. I know a lot of people are probably shocked about that, but that has been the hottest thing going for the last month or so. So, again, make sure you come in, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Again, that's TFG Sports Media here on YouTube. You can also follow it on Facebook. You also can subscribe to my sports channel, Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SporTZ. HUSTLE. You can follow me on Facebook as well as my Kendrick Sports Hustle page on Facebook. And you can also check me out on TikTok, Kendrick Henderson 51, because I am live on TikTok right now. And I got a couple of people joining over there. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Kendrick1969. But I got a special guest. I ain't no special guest. He's part of the family. Y'all know the house rules. Again, y'all come in, like, comment, and all that. But I got my guy, the hardest working man in sports, KOTV sports director at the ABC affiliate in Tyler, Texas, Michael E. Coleman. And again, the E stands for entertainment. Mike, how you doing? It's been a while since you and I did this tag team thing,
I think the last time you and I rapped was at Super Bowl. I think that was the last time.
It was.
Back in, so it was good seeing you, man. See you doing some things. Congratulations. Keep up the good work, brother.
I'm trying to, brother, trying to get some of that. It takes money to run an operation, so I'm trying to get them donations. So we'll see what happens. But I'm just glad you're here, man. And guess what? We're talking. You know what we're talking? We're talking about that big game that's about to tip off here. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing, Mike.
Well, it's
who would have thought that the women's side. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I know where you're going. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at my clock. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I'm gonna watch this game. I've been around female athletes, my sister, my cousins, but I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been at this level of watching a women's game. Other than me just working it, of course. Obviously, we got women's basketball is pretty strong here in this part of the country, so maybe it's not such an anomaly. But at this level, because it's been getting close, it's been growing, and I know the previous 2 outings that Iowa was in set records. I got to think that those records will get smashed because they were on cable.
Right.
Now they're on over the air, ABC. Right. You don't need cable to get ABC. So let's see what those numbers do today. But I think it's pretty cool to see something evolve into what it has. I know folks are going to, this is going to be a racial breakdown between South Carolina and Iowa. Just go ahead and throw that out there.
Right. And that's part of it, though, Mike. Ain't no sense us putting our head in the sand.
No, right. Yeah. I mean, we all heard what Paul Pierce said. Paul Pierce just said what everybody was thinking. He can do that without getting any kind of repercussion. But that's people's mindset. He was speaking from a person's mindset. She's a good. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
And that's been my that's been my comparison the whole week talking about this. This is big. This is as big as that.
Yes, it is.
A lot of people aren't. They're not as old as us, Mike. So we can remember in 1979 when Larry Bird and Magic went. That was the thing, and it definitely race was part of that. But they took the NCAA men's game to a different level with that championship game, and then it carried over to the NBA because the NBA was hurt at that point. We wasn't even seeing those games live. We was watching NBA tape delayed in the 70s, and a lot of people don't know that. So Magic and Larry's, their relationship, their rivalry, it sparked a movement at the NBA level.
Well, the timing was really good because, like you said, the NBA was not what it is today. and you get these two rivals who, they're both cross-culture kind of guys. You got the French Lick, Indiana, and you got the Michigan kid out of Lansing, and they were a heck of a rivalry, and the league reborn off of those two. So maybe this is a launching for the WNBA. I don't know, because she's going to Indiana, I believe, in the WNBA.
That's what all the reports are saying at
Yeah,
this point.
so I don't know what kind of pieces they have, because I really don't see them in the postseason. For what I do watch of the WNBA, I haven't seen Indiana, and seeing that they're getting the first pick. That explains why I haven't seen Indiana. So it's going to be, and when I know I've seen you on social media, we've known about Coach Daly.
Staley, yeah, Coach Staley, yeah, we known about her for years, right?
When she was playing, playing, Cheryl Swoops, you mentioned, of course, Cheryl Miller, and all of that. So it's like, I think it's because the records that are falling and that they're leapfrogging men. I think is what the basis is. Now, next year's a whole new level, and I'm wondering, can they sustain this?
That's a good point.
Can they, with what's happened in during this tournament, will it sustain? You got the stars leaving. Which is what the guys do.
That's a good point, Mike. I hadn't even thought about that, because Caitlin Clark is gone. Angel Reese is declared. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. The women's game, I like the women's game. I think it's a lot of bandwagoners that's jumped on the women's basketball. I've always liked women's basketball, me personally. I want to go back to a post that you posted. I think it was yesterday that I came across. We were talking about a lot of people don't realize this isn't nothing new. It's just because there's more eyeballs on it. I mean, the Lady Trojans with Cheryl Miller and Cynthia Cooper and all of them was balling back then. You know what I'm saying? So this isn't really nothing new. It's just that I think you got more eyeballs to now see it. You know what I'm saying?
And networks can manipulate more so today, because they're paying all that money. Hey, league, hey, NCAA, we're going to run 2 of these games on cable, and then we'll run the championship game on on our partner ABC, because there's no reason why these two Final Four games of the women couldn't have been on ABC. There's no reason whatsoever. So
right. I agree with that. Yeah.
And so, but
I don't know why it wasn't.
Well, yeah, and maybe this is the pay. Maybe this is the pay up. Maybe the payoff. It's like, okay, they did really well on ESPN, so let's go ahead and let that dog hunt and see what kind of numbers we project, because that way they can use that to get into the NCAA women's culture. Because it's just been a few years ago that they were branded with the NCAA with March Madness, the women.
Right. That was when was that, 2 or 3 years ago? Because they had the big issue with the women in San Antonio. They had,
but see, and me as a man being biased, I didn't even notice it. And I didn't realize it. I went and talked to Trina Tillis Horde of TJC, and she was talking about how big of a deal that was. So that's kind of like we've been accepted, and that's what that's about. And so we're gonna see, man. I expect a good game. I mean, I hated to see how the Iowa UConn women's game ended. He made the call. Yeah, gotta do your job.
But that was a bad call. Yeah, that's a bad call, Mike. That's a bad call.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if it is. I don't know if it isn't.
That was Mike. That was not an offensive foul. That was a bad call. But let's be honest. Bad calls happen in games. I was telling somebody this the other day. They happen. You just gotta play through it. At the end of the day, UConn shouldn't have been in the position where you had to come down to that call. It shouldn't have even came down to that play.
And when you saw how that game ended, for those who were just getting on the bandwagon, they're probably screaming the loudest, because they wanted to see a 3-point shot made and go, oh my God, but it didn't happen and it ended the way it ended. And they're like very critical. Not as critical of those who watch, because calls are made. It's like Mahomes throwing that pass to Kelsey and the cat was offsides. He was offsides. And
was all
so,
sides, right?
and for those who just joined, like I said, for those who just got on the bandwagon to watch this, that's like you said, that's the way the game is, man. That's the way the game is.
That's it.
I was looking for a winning shot, like they were. Anyway, but it wasn't
right.
gonna happen.
It was gonna happen, right? Well, now let's talk about this matchup today, man. We got double C Caitlin Clark versus the 6'7" center for South. Well, not versus because she won't guard her, but the 6'7" center for South Carolina, Camila Cardoza. South Carolina replaced all 5 of their starters from last year's national semifinals team. So nobody really expected South Carolina. They were going to be young and didn't have experience, but hell, they 37-0. They looking to win this thing and go undefeated, and they will be only the 10th team in NCAA Women's Division I basketball history to ever go undefeated and win a national championship. Man, Mike, what you think is the key to this game today between both these women's teams?
Oh, and I'll answer that. Let me add this too. They lost 3 starters to the WNBA last year, South Carolina.
Right.
So for them to regroup the way they have and go unbeaten, ain't but one key. It's a key that Kim Mulkey, I don't know why she didn't jump on.
What's what's that key, Mike?
That you got to put somebody on 22, and they got to have an impact. If it ain't working, if it ain't working for the first 10 minutes, next, or put 2 on her, and make everybody else beat you.
I was thinking the same thing, Mike. I'll say double her. As soon as she crosses half court, double her. You got to double.
What you got to do, because she makes them better. All great players make their teammates better. And so if they're not getting that assist, they ain't getting that dime, the ball's being battered around, they can't develop no rhythm. And that's one thing Caitlin Clark does very well. She gets back at the other end of the floor real fast. I mean, in most cases, she ain't got far to go because she's shooting from the 3-point line. But she hustles down the floor. She ain't got far to go.
She ain't got far to go because she ain't defending nobody. That's another thing. Caitlin Clark ain't defending. She don't play defense. But again, her coach don't ask her to do that. They cover that up. The coach makes it, they cover that up.
You got to get some stops, and you can't let her get runs. You got to get stops, and you got to keep playing your game. I mean, this could be an LSU 2.0. I mean, I think there's gonna be some physicality to this game. Dawn Staley is a great coach. She's been, as a player, she went 3 times to the Final Four, and maybe even the Final 2. But mad respect for her, mad respect for the women's game. Is added a little taste of, for when the Super Bowl's over, the next thing you're waiting on is for the men's championship. Well, now you're finally getting a women. Oh, and the women's championship has always been there. Y'all just didn't know.
That's it.
Yeah, y'all didn't tune in. Because that's amazing, those numbers they got. But there's also a hype machine. There's also, and it's not Caitlin Clark's fault, but how mainstream media will latch onto something and ride it to death. They'll go crazy with it. They're going to ride it because that's you only get the lightning in a bottle situation once when it comes to, especially when it comes to women's basketball. And it's like, as much as folks haven't given women's basketball their respect, I know they're on the networks, but the promotions of them haven't been as strong as they are for the men. Now, I'm going to be real interested in a year from now, seeing how the promotions of women's basketball is on those who broadcast it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep my eye on that too, Mike. Yeah, you're right. So we're gonna see after this. By the way, 29.7% brackets predicted of South Carolina Iowa matchup, which that's a very high percentage. And just for the numbers, 14.2 million tune into the Iowa UConn Friday night game. That is the most viewed women's college basketball game on record. Will this beat that one? I don't know, but I think it's going to be pretty close because I think a lot of people are going to be watching this game. Go ahead.
And what makes that what makes that number you just stated more impressive? It's a Friday night. People go out on Friday nights. But they stay home on Sundays getting ready for a Monday work week. So, you're going to see some big numbers, man. You know.
So we'll see. We're gonna see what happens. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's do our pick before we move on to the men's side. I'm picking South Carolina to win this thing going away, Mike. I picked them from the jump.
I got South Carolina winning.
Okay.
I don't know how the refereeing is going to be, the officiating, but you know, I remember when weeks ago when LSU lost to South Carolina. That was a knockout drag out. I mean, those are dogs right there. So I just think they're a tougher team. I think they have more talent that they don't really need a superstar to bring out the best in them. They're all talented up and down that bench. So I'm like you. I've got South Carolina winning this championship.
All right. We'll see here in a few minutes. Now let's move on to the men's side. They play tomorrow night at 8:20 p.m. on TBS. Both number one seeds made it to the finals. It's been a minute. You know, we got Purdue versus UConn. UConn is looking to repeat as champions. They will be the first men's team to do that since the Florida Gators did it in 2006, 2007. We got the Naismith Player of the Year for the second year in a row. Center Zach Edey for Purdue, 7'4", 300 pounds of him versus Connecticut's big guy. I think he's like 7'1" and 280 pounds himself. What you think about the men's matchup? I don't think the excitement is there as much for the men's side as it is for the women. That's just my take, Mike. What's your take on that?
You know, partly you're right because big men are dominating the game. We ain't had a big man Final Two in quite some time. And, you know, the center in the NBA, they're just tall point guards because they don't play inside. These two guys, they get in the paint, they mix it up. They mix it up. And I think that's one reason why you don't hear a lot about or get the publicity from these two teams because of who's running the show, who the ball has to go through to get the deuce. I know they got a kid named Lance Jones, I believe, or Lance Smith or Jones for Purdue. He's a sharpshooter, you know. I think his game is enhanced because you got a big man, you know. And so Edey just showed me a whole lot. He reminds me of Jokic. You know, he's a Frankenstein.
Oh, okay.
He's a Frankenstein kind of player, you know. And he's stoic. I ain't never heard this guy talk during the game or anything, you know. And I like his skill set, his feet work. I think he does a really good job with that, and I think that's going to be able to counter the big man that Connecticut has.
Yeah, that big man, by the way, is Donovan Clingan, and they also UConn is led by freshman Stephon Castle. Now, you know, my thing is I did a couple of brackets on ESPN just for fun, and I picked UConn in one of my brackets. And the only reason I picked them was because they had some experience coming back. And this team, they've won 11 straight NCAA tournament games by at least 13 points. It hasn't been close. I mean, I would say I take that back. I guess it's kind of been Alabama. Alabama kind of was in there for a minute.
Alabama played a good game. They played a good game.
Yeah, then UConn went on that, I think, a 30 to 16 run, and that pretty much put that game away. I just think UConn got that. I think they got a total team, man. I think it's going to be tough for Purdue to beat them, but you know, anything can happen. But this is one of those matchups where it's kind of like, yeah. But I think it's kind of like, I think most people, when you think about the men's side, it's kind of like, it's UConn and Purdue, big deal.
Well, and that's why I wonder about the sustainability of the popularity for the women's side, because we're just now talking about the Final Two. We don't hear about much of those two teams anyway. And I mean, who's got Indiana and Connecticut? We don't think of those two, you know. We think of North Carolinas, the Kansases, the Dukes, the Kentuckys, you know. Now, although we're kind of slighting UConn because they've been around.
We slighting them. They have been around. Yeah. They won it. They won it last year. People don't remember. People don't remember they won it last year. Yeah.
Right. And so whatever that pizzazz or that it is, neither of these teams possess that. And the only reason why it's working for the women's game is, I'll tell you the big reason why is Angel Reese. Angel Reese has brought a lot of eyeballs to the table.
That's the big reason.
Yeah, that's a big because of her attitude, because of the narrative they want to paint, and she fits their narrative, And so Angel Reese, which began last year, in the ring, and the ring, the face, right. You heard about her, but not until that game were people talking about her, and what they were saying wasn't very nice, and they painted her the villain. And real quick, and we can move on because I know you guys schedule here. She answered a question honestly about how the year went for her, and people went after her. The crying.
They did, and I didn't like that. Yeah, I didn't like that.
The emotional thing. Yeah. She wasn't talking basketball. Yeah. She was talking real life, and I was really surprised at the number of people and who they are didn't give her the benefit of a doubt. It's kind of like the young tennis player. Remember, it's kind of like the young tennis player on the mental health issue.
Naomi Osaka. Naomi Osaka.
She got beat up for that, but now that's pretty much a common thing now.
Right.
And so they beat Angel Reese up a whole lot, and she's a big reason as well of the popularity of women's basketball because of her mouth. I don't mean that in a bad way.
It is because men are celebrating. See, that's the double standard though in women in competitive sports. Men can do that, and it's all good. They're very competitive and they got that fire. But if women do that, then there's a double standard. Oh, she doing too much, or she talk. And then it is also about the color of their skin too, Mike. I'm not trying. I'm trying to make this a race thing.
No, but keep it real.
It is.
No, it can't be.
Right.
And that's always been in the background. A talented, mouthy, borderline cocky, but very confident player who, if you ask a question of, they're going to tell you. I remember when Reggie Jackson, is my favorite all-time baseball player, got traded to New York. And they asked him, how's it feel to be in New York? And he says, I am the straw that stirs the drink. I was like, oh, my goodness. That's a quote and a half. I'm the straw that stirs the drink. And they hated him.
Right.
They hated his teammates hated him.
Right.
The fans hated him. Wait a minute, you're in New York. Y'all supposed to be New York. Y'all should be able to take Then he hits those 3 home runs in October World Series, and they shut up. They shut up big time, So that always happens to people who look like us, who are very confident about what they're doing, because people think there's a place for them, and there's a place for them to say what they want to say. Well, no, there isn't. That barrier's been broken a long time ago. So it's real mixed because it's like the Negro Leagues. And Cat made this point. Roland Martin made this point. To my Jackie Robinson. You've noticed the league welcomed the players, but they didn't welcome any new owners. You could have taken one of those Negro League teams and taken one of those Negro League teams and put them in the fabric of MLB. What does that do in the long run for race relations? Stuff that they could have done back in the 30s and 40s. The ball was dropped on, and it just gets piled on. So, our athletes, they reign supreme, or they wouldn't be sought after. Right. And I kind of wish the HBCU schools had more of a chance with the athletes than they do, but they can't compete.
And that's a whole and that's a whole nother show that we need to think about trying to do a show, you and I, just talking about the HBCU, how they don't get any love, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. So the men's championship game again, UConn 36-3, 1 seed, Purdue 1 seed, 34-4. That goes down tomorrow night in Glendale, Arizona. Right now, UConn is a 6.5-point favorite going into that national championship game tomorrow night. Now let's move on to the NFL. The NFL is always in the news, whether it be good or bad. And Mike, I know you have a lot to say on this topic because this is your Kansas City Chiefs, and we're talking about the young fella, wide receiver Rashee Rice. If you didn't see that, he and A couple of buddies in his decided to do some some racing on was the North Central Expressway in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they caused a multi-car pileup that had a couple of people injured and sent to the hospital and this and that. Luckily, thank God nobody was killed in this, and now it's time to do damage control because the young fella, Rashee Rice, has hired Royce West, who's a Texas senator as well, as his lawyer, and he admitted to being the one driving the Lamborghini. But not only that, a couple of days later come out, they found a little bit of that good stuff in the Lamborghini as well, and the Corvette that was involved in it was registered to Rashee Rice as well. This thing is just turned from bad to worse for this young fella. Mike, what's your thoughts on this whole Rashee Rice situation?
Man, he won the lottery when he got to do what he did in his rookie year. Win a Super Bowl, be with a quarterback who's going to be around for a while, develop a Hall of Fame career, or at least a nice career. I'm not saying it's thrown away, but I'm saying there's a derailment, and he's very lucky there was nobody who was killed. But where he's not lucky at is those lawyers who were coming around those folks in those accidents, asking where you're hurt, and they're savvy too. Yeah, my neck, my arm, whatever, my little boy, So you're going to contend with that. I think worse. I don't know though. I understand why he was hiding for a while because I think he was getting his house in order. When he wasn't being sought, when he was being sought after, but he hadn't been sought.
Right.
But here's the bag. This is the trouble he's got. One of the coaches, Andy Reid's son, had an accident a couple years ago and hurt that little girl.
Yeah, his son. Yeah, Andy Reid's son,
right.
Who just got, by the way, he just got released from clemency. He got clemency,
so he just got released. He wasn't even there for a full year, I don't think.
No,
but this little girl, she's through for life. She's through for life. And my understanding is the Hunt family, and to their credit, they put up a trust fund for her. But she can't run and jump and be a little girl and go down the aisle because of this guy whose punishment did not fit what he did. He should have got more. I think he should have got more.
Right.
Well, look who's going to get more now, whatever punishment is going to be, because the son didn't get more. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
right.
hopefully
I know what you're saying.
Hopefully he gets a good deal, but it's for the Chiefs, from the Chiefs' perspective, for him, optics are going to be principle. Then we just had a situation with Andy Reid's son. Now we got a player in an accident. Right. No, he didn't hurt nobody, severely or anything, but he left the scene, which is a felony, right here in Texas. And can't no Missouri governor help you out in Texas. All right? Just a lot of little nitbit things that are going to add up that makes this situation more severe because he don't have the complexion for the protection.
I love that. I love that quote, Mike. I'm going to steal that one. I was still
because he's going to have to fight.
I'm going to attribute it to you, though. Yeah.
But look how long
he's going to have to.
Look how long it took for Andy Reid's son to get a lawyer and get this house in order. He had to hide out, get a lawyer, and get somebody that can let him know, okay, here's a protocol we're going to do. Right. Young Andy, he didn't go to jail for another 6 months or so, or trial.
Yeah, he was out. Yeah. It was about 6 months before he finally had.
So there's optics. Yeah. There are optics in this, and how the Chiefs handle this. That's going to be huge. If they draft, if they draft a wide receiver this year that you weren't thinking they were going to draft, that's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign. And here's the financial part of it, Mike, that I want you to speak on. I looked up, Rashee Rice was a second-round pick. He was a 55th player pick. So he signed a 4-year, $6.495 million deal. He got 3.5 of that guaranteed at signing. Then you take out the taxes and all that, and he paying his agent if he had. I'm sure he had an agent.
Well, yeah,
so he probably didn't. He didn't clear $3.5 million at signing because he still had to pay the taxes and all that on it. Then his average salary from here on out for that 4-year deal is $1.632 million a year, and he becomes a free agent at 2027. So technically, he probably made maybe a little less, under $2 million, maybe. His first year, and now you're talking about you're gonna have to probably pay restitution, this and that. Financially, he is in a hole now.
He's probably barely making $1 million or $1.5 million on a yearly basis out of that deal. You know,
That right, yeah, it was 1.6, but again, he got
1.6.
3.5 of
Okay,
that up front. Yeah, he got
right.
3.5 of that up front. So,
Okay.
but they've
Well, you
already
know
taken
what?
taxes, and he had to pay his agent and all that. So, I mean,
Okay.
he,
Well,
I,
that SUV he had was 1,700 and some change a day.
yeah,
He
because he
may have
was
had,
leasing that Lambo. He
yeah,
was leasing that
yeah,
Lambo. Yeah,
yeah.
right.
And then he had the other car. I mean, one car is made for racing, Corvette, Lamborghini SUV, which is a contradiction to me. I mean, it was a
Yeah,
Lamborghini
yeah, that is a
SUV.
contradiction to
I'm
me.
like, well, that's kind of a
Right,
contradiction because I get a Lamborghini, I want a
right,
SUV, I want to
right.
chill, and so no, it's just not a good look. And like I said, he's got a lot of issues. Like you said, the marijuana, the leaving the scene. And it didn't
Mm-hmm.
take long to figure out who it was. I mean, that's how stupid he is. I'm not gonna lie, he's stupid. You got
Mm-hmm.
your name on both of these vehicles. You know,
Right,
you don't
right.
have a fall guy.
Exactly.
You don't have a fall guy like Chris Carter said. Get
You going right where I'm going, Mike. And I
Go
said
ahead.
this in the segment. I mean, I did. You going? I want to speak to all these young athletes out here, men or women. If you don't have somebody in your crew that's not a yes man or a yes woman, you need to get a new crew because you need to have somebody that's going to be that person in your ear saying, no, dog, no, bruh, no, young fella, nah, this ain't a good look. Nah, we don't need to do that. If you don't have somebody that's willing to take that and you be pissed off at them, I'm talking to all these young professional, rich athletes, man or woman, then you need to get rid of your crew because there should have been somebody in this young fella's crew that said, you know what, Rashee, no, we can't be racing on no doggone freeway in Dallas at 6:00 p.m. on a Saturday. That don't make no damn sense. What are we doing? So that's my
Yep.
advice.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and you just got to have that person in your crew that's gonna have your
See,
best interest
and
at
what
heart.
happens
You
is
know.
when you make money, you got to get smarter. You got to be
Yeah.
smart.
Right.
You're richer. How much of that smartness going to come with that being rich? You know, who's in your
Right.
life? I mean, it's probably an old story for them. They've heard all their life. Hey, it ain't gonna happen to me, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, look, I tell you, for instance, like Marshawn Lynch. He was kind of a villain kind of guy. I don't think people they do now, but beforehand, I think they kind of I think they thought he was a thuggish kind of guy. But this dude saved his
Mm-hmm.
money. He didn't spend his paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
He did all the right things, and people were judging a book by its cover. I'm just
Right.
here so I don't get fined. So people thought he's being a malcontent. I thought he was being a bad guy. What happens?
Mm-hmm.
They make a commercial off of that. You know, he
Right.
knows how to outsmart. He's not playing the system. He outsmarted the system. He's like, I'm not who you think I
Mm-hmm.
am. I'm not who you think I am. And I know what you think I am. You guys think I'm a football player, and that's all. But there's a whole lot more to me. And that's what these players have to
Right.
understand, man. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, you won the lotto ticket. You can lose it in the process of having it if you're not
Okay.
careful.
Yeah. If you're not careful, Marshawn Lynch is a perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, he
He's a
is.
perfect example.
Great.
He's a perfect example. Of that. Yeah. So let's talk about. We got a couple of more real quick, and we're gonna get out here. Mike, let's talk about Angel Reese. You kind of went there. We were talking about that. If you don't know, LSU's Angel Reese and USC's Bronny James, they both had big announcements this week. They both declared for the draft. I went and did some digging far as Angel Reese, far as where she would go. They are projecting, according to CBS Sports, all these mock drafts, you just never know, but they are projecting her to go number 7 to the Minnesota Lynx, and they have her listed as center at 6'3", which I don't see her playing the center position because I don't think she's big enough, but okay, that's what they got her listed as. As far as Bronny James, I think he did that just because he wanted to give himself options. If you don't know, USC, their Andy Enfield, who was his coach that recruited him, he left USC for SMU. As USC just named Eric Musselman as their new coach. So again, that happens at the college level. A lot of times players decide to go into the transfer portal after they get a new coach. Mike, talk about both of these decisions. Far as Angel Reese, we kind of knew this was coming, not a shock.
Yeah.
But and then talk about Bronny James. Your thoughts on both of them?
Well, I think with Angel Reese, I mean, it was a foregone conclusion. She'll just pick up where she left off. She'll have. I mean, if it's
Mhm.
possible, she'll have more opportunities if that's possible. Because in college, I mean, she's got a lot of opportunities and she's been able to take advantage of.
Right.
And if wherever
Right.
she goes, if they can develop a rivalry between where she's at and where Caitlin Clark goes to, that's going to be money. But that team, but where Caitlin goes has to be. It can't just be mano a mano. It's got to be team wise,
Mhm.
like Boston and LA were. You know, I mean, Boston and LA
Right.
has some names on it before those two guys, Magic and Bird, joined those teams. So if you've got two WNBA teams that are drawing the attention because you have the two most foremost players in the past few years, that'll mean something. As for Lonnie James, Bronny James, you know what? My dad is LeBron, and I think I can cut in front of everybody and get a shot at the NBA. I can do that. And I don't have a problem with that because you know what? They do it every day in corporate America. Every day in corporate America. And if it don't work out, I'm going to go to SMU where my old coach is. I'm going to do that.
Hmm. Well, I think actually, Mike, I think he eventually will end up at Duquesne. And why I say that, the report came out that his dad's old teammate from high school, I think his name is Drew Joyce, I believe. He was just
Okay.
named the new head coach at Duquesne, who
Okay.
took the place of LeBron and
Oh, yeah.
Drew's high school head coach.
Right.
So I
Right.
think if I mean, and you're right, he could end up anywhere, but I think Duquesne which is in Pittsburgh, will probably be where
Okay. Hadn't
Bronny
heard
ends
that.
up,
Okay. Okay.
or maybe Ohio State, who recruited him highly. They sought after him, as well as Texas Longhorns. They recruited. He was high on the list as well when Bronny was coming out of high school. My thoughts on both of them. I'm not shocked at Angel Reese. I think she's done all she could do. She's won a national title. Obviously, I think she's making more money being in college than she will as a WNBA star. I mean, but she'll keep all those endorsements that
Yeah.
she's already got through her NIL. So she's going to be doing fine financially because the women, I was just reading, their first year rookie contracts in the WNBA is only like 75,000.
Right.
She was making 1.2 million at LSU.
Right.
so
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? So she's not gonna really take a loss because she's still gonna do that. As far as Bronny, I just think he only played 25 games.
And you had the
He
health
had the health
issue.
scare, right? He only averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists. I just don't think he's played enough of the next level basketball. Obviously, he's played more high school basketball games than college.
He really
You know what I'm
has.
saying? And I like him. I don't think he's. A lot of people think he's trash. I just think some players develop later, and I think
Well,
Junior Bronny James, I just think he needs a little bit more time to develop, in my
I
opinion.
I think he was quick in getting hype, and he hadn't done anything. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the nature.
well,
I mean,
because of who his daddy is, right,
you're
right,
right. I
yeah.
mean, that's like, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, you think about Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey was a superstar in his own right. And his daddy was a damn good player in his own right. It
Mm-hmm.
made sense for them to play together. There was no nepotism. I'm not blaming
Right,
Bronny at all for what he's in a position to do. Because a lot of our people don't get that opportunity at that
right,
level. Um, but
right.
when you get there, you got to
Yeah,
shine. You got to shine, and so
you got to
I
shine.
wish he'd stick around. I think he'd stick around in college, take advantage of what comes that way,
Mm-hmm.
and trade notes with Shador Sanders. Like, yeah, dude, I mean, they could really develop a pattern with one another. He could learn from Shador.
Mm-hmm. Right,
In that respect.
right. That's yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but hey, more power to him. If somebody grabs him in the first round, they're lying. They're
Nah,
lying.
he definitely ain't gonna be. And again, let's put this out there. The NBA only has 2 rounds, so roughly only 50 to 60
Yeah,
players will be drafted.
yeah,
So, and then if those that think of the Lakers gonna get him, the Lakers only have 1 draft pick, and that's a second rounder. And his daddy and Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, obviously, he's being represented by Rich Paul and Clutch
yep.
Sports. They probably gonna make a push to Jenny Buss and Rob Pelinka to pressure them into drafting this kid. But I just think that on my point with LeBron would be don't put this undue pressure on your son. And we all know LeBron has said that he wants to play with his son. And I get that as a father. I have my own, if my sons, if I was LeBron and I have 2 sons, as a father, yeah, I get that. But on the flip side, let him grow at his own pace. Let him do his own thing. And if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. It's going to be all right.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, it's a lazy. Well, I don't know if it's a lazy question to ask LeBron, or if it's, because what's he going to say? Would you like for him to say, "Listen, that's my"? Because I've heard him say before, "That's my son's world." So whatever he decides to do, but since I've heard him say it that way, he's leaned the other way, and because I think they can let him go if he wants to go somewhere to play with his son. I believe in his contract. I think.
Yeah, it is. I read that today. Yeah, he can option out. Yeah, he can opt out. Yeah. Yep. I read that today.
So I mean, I don't know. I like LeBron. I don't love him. I like him because I don't love any players today. I don't love any players today.
I like him. Mike, you like me. I like LeBron too. I don't love him. He ain't my guy. MJ's always gonna be my guy.
Right.
Y'all can say what you want. MJ's gonna always be my. But I like LeBron though.
And my question is for these guys today is, he got everything. He get to have everything. In this case, because money, he got everything but what money can buy, and that's getting Bronny on his team. Money from him can't buy that. So if nothing else, there's probably a silent intimidation, if you will. He's going to leave if we don't. I hope that conversation doesn't take place. But I wish Bronny well. Take advantage of the golden goose. You're in great shape. It's kind of like the young Frazier trying to box up Marvis. He wasn't Joe, but he was given. He cut in front of the line in front of everybody, and got a chance to do some things. So more power to him.
More power to him. All right, Mike, this is what I call my freestyle segment. Then we're going to get out of here. When I say freestyle, we can talk about anything we want to, anything that caught your eye, anything that you want to just kind of vent about. Mike, you got a freestyle moment that you want to just get off your chest?
And I think so. Okay, let's talk about the trade of Diggs to the Houston Texans. I think Stephon's going to have the kind of season people expected Odell to have when he went someplace else, but he was in spurts. He really didn't take off or shine. But I think Stephon Diggs, with a young quarterback, there's obviously animosity between he and Josh Allen. There just is. And they can't patch it up. So this is a good thing. Now, Jason Whitlock said the reason why he won the trade is because Houston has the most nightclubs, strip clubs. It's like, come on, man.
Well, that is true, though. I mean, he didn't lie compared to Buffalo.
No, he didn't lie. He didn't. Yeah, compare. But I hope he's not being an old boy from the NBA that would spend a lot of time there, and he's out there to work.
Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully, he don't turn into a James Harden, because Harden that's all he was doing was being up in them damn strip clubs in Houston. So we're gonna see what happens with it.
But no,
I'm not passing no judgment on strip clubs. They can be a nice place to clear your mind. That's all we say.
Get you a cold drink, Kool-Aid.
Get you some shrimp. Get you some fried shrimp and some catfish.
But no, I think he's going to do a good job there. He's got a young quarterback. See, think about working with a veteran quarterback or veteran. Well, the quarterback is he's going to be the know-it-all. I'm the quarterback, and Josh should take over like that. He's the quarterback, but CJ ain't there yet. He ain't even close to being there. So his mind is still fertilizing on how to play the game. And he's gonna listen to a 4-time Pro Bowler or whatever he is, and they got Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon.
They didn't stand pat and say, "Wow, we had a nice season, went to the playoffs." They didn't stand pat. What can we do now to fortify us going back to the playoffs? And that's what they've done. So I think of everybody, they've done the best job during the offseason. I really do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with you, because I know Houston fans. I got quite a few of my family. They talking about it's our year. I'm like, hold on, fella, hold on. It looks good on paper, but you still got to go through 17 weeks of an NFL season to see what happens. So I think Houston is looking really good. right now. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see what happens. My freestyle moment, Mike. You know I got to talk about them damn Cowboys.
Yeah.
Is that organization? Do they just thrive on dysfunction? I don't know if you saw this last report, Mike. You probably did. 105.3 The Fan. Chance. I think it's.
I know
I
you're
can't
talking
remember
about.
his last name.
I know what you're talking about.
He reported that he's talked to people within the organization that they are fed up with Michael Parsons, and they would be happy to see him go.
Well,
here we go again with the Dallas Cowboys. What's your thoughts on it? And it's rumors at this point. These are just rumors. Nothing's been confirmed.
But you know what? And there's a part of me when I heard him say that, I'm like, well, I don't know. Is he saying that's what he's heard, or he's been told that?
That's what he said. He's been told that by
he's been told
4 people within the organization. But he said he's been told that. My thing is, I hate when media people do that. When you don't source, okay, I get it. Sometimes you don't want to tell who your source. I get that. But for you to be the flagship station of the Dallas Cowboys, just go with that. Really?
What you do when you hear something like that? When you hear something like that, you go to the people in charge. Hey, listen, I just heard from inside your camp. I ain't gonna tell you who, but you know the kind of job I got, and I'm just trying to check it out. I'm told X, Y, and Z. How much truth is there to this? But if you don't go to them, he might not be on that radio station next year or a part of them because he's throwing stuff out there without checking. You got to check.
He's just throwing it out there.
Now then you check,
know, Mike.
If you check and they say we'll talk about it, you say, hey, listen, I went to them and they said there's nothing to it, or they wouldn't comment, and so that way you cover yourself. But just to throw it out there, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but he's become the source for that, and it's picked up everywhere.
Right.
I've seen
it's picked up everywhere. Shan Sharif is his name, by the way. Shan Sharif, viewers, if y'all want it, that's his name. With 105.3 The Fan out of Dallas, Fort Worth. That's his name.
We'll see, because what's the first question that's going to be asked at training camp? Micah, are you happy?
Right.
Yeah, man, I'm happy. I don't said all that before. Why are we talking this way? Yeah. You know, and there's this guy, you know, I'm pretty sure he's part of the media. I don't know him, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be there and or not, you know, but somebody's got or not. Now you got to prove him wrong. The onus is on y'all now. Not. Yeah, or not. So, but Micah does do too much. So, you know, and maybe that
he does. He talks too much. He does. He talks too much. He's in his feelings too much.
And always worried about the referee not calling a play, being hooked, just held. It's like, dude. Yeah. So I think maybe they see that. That could become a bigger problem because Dan Quinn and he appeared to be on the same page, but now that Quinn is gone, Michael might run roughshod over the next DC. I don't even know who.
Well, it's Mike Zimmer. You know, Mike Zimmer ain't gonna play.
Oh yeah, it's Mike Zimmer back. Yeah. Okay, that's a good move.
Yeah,
that's a good move.
Yeah, Zimmer ain't going for that ish. I just think these athletes with these podcasts now, they didn't took this ish too far. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have it. I get it. Social media, your own brand. I get that. But I think some of these guys be on these podcasts, they just be flapping and flapping their lips and just.
I know during the regular season in his podcast, he was talking about other teams. Like, no, dude, you can't talk about other teams on your podcast. You can't.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's just common sense.
You should be concentrating on your team.
I ain't trying to hear about the Philadelphia Eagles.
On your team, on your play. Yeah. So anyway, so that was my freestyle moment for the day, man. But speaking of which, just to transition from that, we got the NFL draft coming in a couple of weeks, Mike. I definitely want you and I to get together to do something before that Thursday, because I think that the coverage starts on that Thursday. Maybe we'll do something on that Sunday, 1 o'clock, just kind of giving our take on who we think is going to go here and this there. So, but anyway, so I appreciate you joining me, Mike. And we got about 11 minutes for tip off. So you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Tell the wifey I said hello, man, and always a pleasure. You do the same, my brother. Good talking to you. Again, that was Michael Coleman KOTV sports director at the ABC affiliate in Tyler, Texas. My good brother, my good friend. We worked together for some years and we were colleagues. So again, it's about almost 10 minutes away from the women's national championship game between South Carolina Lady Gamecocks and Iowa Lady Hawkeyes. And it's going down in Cleveland, Ohio. So again, I want to thank everybody who on TikTok that jumped in and joined and watched. I want to also thank everybody that will watch this later on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like, share button, comment. I always go back and read the comments. Make sure if you want to contribute to the channel, there's a little thank you or a little $sign during the live that you can contribute to the channel to help build this sports platform, which will go back into it. You can also hit my Cash App, not $1969 Kendrick. So make sure you follow TFG Sports Media on Facebook as well as Kendrick Sports Hustle on Facebook. Subscribe to Kendrick Sports Hustle on YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram. That's Kendrick1969, and you can also follow me on TikTok where I'm live right now, Kendrick Henderson 51. So again, I want to thank everybody for dropping in, watching me on TikTok, watching me here on YouTube. Again, you can catch me here next Sunday about this same time. We're going to be talking sports. Again, make sure you check out that women's national championship game. Tell me who you got, South Carolina or Iowa. I'm going with South Carolina. I think they're going to get it done and be undefeated again. Be the 10th team, I think, to be undefeated. So again, you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. Oh, and be careful with that solar eclipse. Wherever you are, make sure you got the right glasses to check it out. All right. I'm Kendrick, the sports guy. We will see you on the other side and on the next report. I am out. Peace. All right, TikTok, that's a wrap.